Welcome to the latest live stream. It's been quite a while since I did a live stream with anybody at all, but I couldn't miss this opportunity because today we've been filming on the new 40-meter Benetti Oasis of Seanet, and I'm here with Matty Zadnikar.
Hello. Hello.
Thanks very much for joining us.
And thank you for inviting me.
The last live stream was very successful, very exciting.
I remember there was a lot of questions, but I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
It took us more than an hour to answer all the questions.
Yeah.
At a certain point, we even had to cut it off.
We did. I'm going to ask people listening if they can just confirm that they can hear all right, because it's always good to get that confirmation. If you can leave a message in the chat. Also, if there's any problem at all with hearing us or seeing us, just let me know. I do have a message that said chat disconnected, but I think that was from quite some time ago. So it will be good to just see any messages that you can send through. But in the meantime, we'll get started. First of all, with this yacht, the new addition to the fleet, how did that happen?
Let me say, we launched last year with our matchmaking concept. You know that from day one, and that's almost 7 years ago, our concept was very easy. I signed the contract, we bought the yacht, and then when the yacht was in build, during the build period, we started trying to sell shares in the yacht from a minimum of 2 to a maximum of 6 shares. That was the model that we used. Last year, we started the matchmaking. And matchmaking is a little bit different. Then the yacht is not procured by ourselves. But the yacht is owned by an existing owner or a new build contract of where the owner said instead of going for a charter model, to optimize their costs, they are choosing to get 1, 2, or 3 co-owners in the yacht. So, and this was a new client who approached us, who had signed a contract for 40 meter already in 2020, end of 2020, and he was very keen or interested in getting, let me say, 2 to a maximum of 3 partners on board of his boat. So selling a maximum of 50%. So 2 times 25% or 3 times 16.66%, so that he could enjoy the yacht, because he himself is an active businessman. He don't has the time to use more than 50% of the available time. So, and I must say, the yacht is now launched in the beginning of June. In the beginning of June, we did the sailing to Malta, we did the registration and flagging, and it's now exactly 1 month in the fleet. And we have already succeeded in selling 2 shares, 2 1/6 shares, and we are in the process of selling the last share available in this boat.
Because you were looking for 50%?
Yeah, 50%.
So 3 were already taken with the original owner, 3/6.
Yes, correct.
2 are sold.
Yeah, and 1 is the remaining one. And I'm pretty sure that before the Cannes boat show, we will have concluded the last deal.
That's fantastic.
And that this boat will become the 7th boat in our fleet.
Can you explain, and actually while you're explaining this, I'm just going to check on my phone, because I see there's no chat coming in, which is quite unusual. So it may be that I can see it on my phone and I can't see it here.
Okay.
But while I do that, for the benefit of the viewers, can you explain the difference between matchmaking and what Seanet was originally doing?
Yep. In principle, matchmaking and what we are doing is our core business is the co-ownership of yachts. So what we do is we try to bring together a minimum of 2 to a maximum of 6. What I told you, an average is 4 to 5 owners in 1 yacht. And we do the entire management of the yacht, so that everyone has a wireless experience, a wireless yachting experience. But primarily, the goal is to optimize financially your purchase costs, just to reduce it related to your percentage that you buy, but not only your purchase cost, also your yearly or annual running costs are dramatically reduced. And then from the other side, we do the entire management. That's what we do. The difference between matchmaking and what we did before is very simple, that in matchmaking, the yacht is not owned by us. The yacht is owned by an existing owner who is willing to let people join him in the ownership structure. But in principle, the same contracts, the same model, the same planning, and the same way that we take care of the yacht in total. So there's no difference. The difference is for us that we don't have to buy a yacht to sell shares. That's the big difference.
So matchmaking, almost like a dating match, that somebody says, this is what I'm looking for.
This is my profile. That's why I want to use the yacht. Can you please find 1, 2, or 3 co-owners? And mainly a lot of people who have already done chartering in the past, but who said, okay, we would now prefer to have a solid partner who puts the millions on the table and who joins us instead of having charter.
And actually, I'm not surprised that that's had success, because there must be a lot of yacht owners who, although they can easily afford the yachts, they just can't quite justify the expense of it in their own mind. They just can't wrap their heads around how much they're spending on something they only use maybe 4 or 5 weeks of the year.
Yeah, let me say the majority, not a majority, I think at this moment, 100% of the partners that we have are partners that can afford to buy a yacht outright. So they can all afford buying a yacht. They can all afford the running costs on a yearly basis. But none of them have become or are becoming there where they are today in simply spoiling money or simply throwing money away. So when you don't use your yacht enough, then why not getting a partner on board who shares the cost together with you? That's the principle. The same as with charter, but then instead of having multiple charter guests, then you have a few owners. What for them is a different approach.
Sorry, I'm just here we go. Let's see if this is working. Live chats. Close. We've got it working.
Okay, good.
And there's already quite a few comments.
Okay, good.
So, Rudy Dagelt, who, if I remember, Rudy, I think you live in Belgium. I'm pretty sure that you're in Belgium. So he's a neighbour.
He's a fellow citizen of Belgium. I'm also Belgium, coming from Belgium.
So he says that he was on the live 3 years ago.
Okay.
And anyway, they're all basically, somebody's from Bristol. They are all acknowledging there's somebody Russian. I don't understand what the Russian says, but they're all acknowledging. I just want to see, Matty, if I can get rid of this here without losing the chat. No, I can't. So I need to turn that off. But anyway, we've got the comments coming through, so that's great. Now, we're going to be talking tomorrow in an actual official filmed, recorded interview. But can you tell me what else is happening at Seanet at the moment?
No, I will give you an update. We started the activity in September 2016 at the Cannes Festival, the Cannes Boat Show. So we will celebrate now in the Cannes Boat Show in September our 7th anniversary. And in the 7 years, we closed in total 7 yachts. So, and when I speak about the yachts, we specialize in the super yacht section, so not in the yachting. So we are not active in the below 29 meter or below 95 feet section. So we have, at the moment, we have closed 30 share deals in the past 7 years with 25 partners. So that means already when you see the difference, 25 partners, 30 share deals, we already have 5 partners who started with, for example, a Venetti Delfino, and upgraded to a Venetti Mediterraneo. And we have in the meantime already 1 partner who had a Venetti Mediterraneo, who's now upgrading to this Venetti Oasis 40 meters.
So what do you do with the shares they had in the smaller yachts? Are you able to sell those?
There are two possibilities. Let me say there are 3. Fortunately, the third one is not happening very often. So option number 1 is that people simply say, I love this yacht. I get more time. I go in retirement. I sell my company. I want to have a bigger share. So to buy a bigger share, when the yacht is fully sold, you need another shareholder who sells. So that's the first option, is that people simply buy a bigger share. But the majority of people that we now had, so when I speak about the 5, only 1 went to a bigger share, and the other ones all went for a share in a bigger yacht. So that are the 2 possibilities. The third possibility is that people sell their share. We had at this moment we have 2 exiting partners. One for the painful reason that he died, and I bought the share back from his family because the family didn't know really how to go forward, and it was a very difficult time. So I bought the share back in. And then we have another a partner who was very, very happy, but he was a little bit in conflict with the timing between young children going to university. He's himself a chairman. She is a chairman, being in a lot of board meetings, and planning-wise, it was not an easy fit to do it in this stage of their life. So I bought the share back, and we sold it back in the market. So that are the 3 possibilities. So vertically, horizontally, or simply selling out.
How long did it take to find somebody to buy that share? Was that a very difficult task?
Yeah. Let me say, I always try to be very transparent and honest. When we started in the beginning, it took us up to 1.5, even for some of the shares, 2 years to get the yacht completely sold out. And in the meantime, I took care of those shares. I simply used the time, and for me, it was a live showroom. I paid for the contribution fee of those shares. But now, in the meantime, let me say we go to a 5-6 months. And in this yacht, we started the sales end of April, beginning of May. And we have already sold 2 shares, and the 3rd share will probably be sold by the Cambodia. So it's going faster and faster. Simply due to the fact that we get more and more known. there is a bigger trust base.
Yeah.
So we are not new in the market. We are in the market to stay, and that creates another reliability.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier, and one of the things that I guess is a challenge in the company growing is that without giving away anything confidential, but it must be a lot of money that's circulating just for the running of a fleet of 7 yachts.
Yep.
So how does your accounts department cope with that? Can you give me an insight into that
Yep.
side of the business?
Everything started as the one-man band. So I was the one-man band, and very quickly I had one sales guy from day one who's still joining me, Raf, was supporting me in the entire field. But in the meantime, our overhead structure, so we became a team of 8 people focusing on marketing, on sales, on accountancy, on operations management, on hospitality. So like every company, all the functions that you know, and we have in the meantime more than 70 super yacht professionals. So all the crew is on our payroll. Particularly when it comes up to money, we manage super yachts. We manage super yachts who run in 2 seasons, run 53 to 54% of the year.
Yeah.
That's extreme. You will not find a lot of yachts in the world who run so much time on in owner's use.
Yeah.
So that means also a lot of money is floating. So we have a little bit less than 10 million on a yearly basis on running costs.
Yeah.
So our accountancy, our reporting, and also the analysis is a very important part of our job. So we implemented recently BI simply to get a better feel about it. And also we automated the payments on board and stuff like that. So we have a lot of dashboarding that we also make transparent towards our co-owners and partners. But I see there are a lot of questions coming.
Yes, they're starting to get questions in. Rudy has a good question. He remembered 3 years ago, he has a better memory than I do, that we spoke about an Explorer yacht.
Yes.
And he asks the question, is there any progress on this?
No, I must say yes and no. I had already worked on that. We spent around 250,000 euros in preparing the project. So there is a project that is still in the drawer, where we have defined the entire yacht from a technical standpoint of view, but also from an optical. I can even mention the shipyard. We've done it with Cantiere della Marche, because I really believe when you speak about Explorer's yacht, that they are really the strongest in the market to do that. That's their specialty. But up to now, for me, it's a matter of timing, getting enough time to focus on it. And we grew so fast, let me see, in the non-explorer section of the market, that I first focused there and I put the money there where the demand was. And the second thing is, to start a project like that, we will end up in a 45 to 50 meter section. I don't have to tell you, you speak about a lot of money. So I'm pre-investing a lot in yachts, but when you do a project like that, then you need a minimum of a 50% partner to join you. Simply the risk of investing a project like that is too high. So it's simply a matter of getting enough interest. But we were sure it's on my bucket list, and I definitely want to go in that direction.
And the logistics, I think, of an Explorer yacht that's really exploring is huge.
But you see the market. What I feel is that the demand for the Ibizas and the Mallorcas and the Saint-Tropez and the Vars or the Portofinos, there are still a lot of people who want to see that. But I feel that more and more people are looking for something else, something 100%. Completely different, more the nature thing. And I think that Explorers is the way forward. But still, there's a difference between being interested and really want to put money on the table to go forward in a concrete project.
We see that in the charter market. The demand for people who want to charter in far-flung places is getting greater and greater. And specialist companies are emerging to sort of help with the logistics of that as well. So Kevin Alves, hi Kevin. He says, and first of all, thanks very much for the question, Rudy. Kevin says, yacht co-owning only in Europe, or could this be worldwide or specific places such as the Caribbean?
No, it is a very good question, but I must say this is already for us a question out of the history. 3 years ago, so that was after three and a half years that we were operating only in Europe, I found it a pity that the yachts were from, let me say, the end of October until the beginning of April, mid of April, they were simply out of function. You were in maintenance mode, but not used. So we already 3 years ago, so just before, the year before COVID, we started with our first yacht in double season. And now 60 to 70% of our yachts are doing a double season. So 4 out of our 7 yachts in the fleet are doing a double season. So that means if between the 1st of May and the middle of October in Europe, and between the 23rd of December and the beginning of March in the Caribbeans or in the Bahamas, and we are even planning to go for Asia in the future.
Oh, really?
So I really believe that the yacht should be used in double seasons. I'm very much fan of that.
And used to go and see places that maybe otherwise you wouldn't.
Yep, that's correct.
See. And Kevin has a follow-up question. He says, and actually it's a very good question. What if a co-owner wants to put the yacht out for charter? Can they do that?
No. I'm very specific in that all our yachts are purchased and built to a commercial spec. And I mainly do that for the fact that when we would want to register commercially, we can do that. That's not an issue. And also for future resale value, I think is a very important topic. But the majority of our yachts are all privately registered. And I must say, I'm not a huge fan of charter, so I'm not against charter, but personally, I'm not so crazy about it. But I must say the majority of our owners, they say we already reduce our cost from, let me say, 100% to a 25 or to a 16. And that 16% we really want to use. So I think the optimization through charter is in co-ownership less needed. So we don't have really a demand for that. So the answer is at this moment in co-ownership, we don't charter out. We could do it, but then everybody has to agree on it, and there is no common base to do that.
We've got Penelope Lightbourne. Hi, Penelope. By the way, Penelope very kindly sent me some coffee the other day, and a very nice postcard as well. So thank you very much for that. I didn't get the chance to acknowledge that because I literally came back from Turkey, saw the coffee on my desk, got into a plane and came here to film. So those are the questions for now. I'm sure that more will be coming in. Trying to think of a commonly asked question that you get. Oh, here's a good one. And I think it's really important for people who've maybe not tuned in before.
Yes.
Timesharing and co-ownership.
Big difference. So co-ownership is very simple. What is the structure? What is the normal structure? The normal structure is that I start defining a yacht project. So that means exterior and interior. We define a contract and we close a contract with a shipyard and we start building. So that means and we build and the contract is signed by the future owning company, an SPV in Malta. We are a Maltese-based company, and that means that all our ownership companies and structures are in Malta. So we start building. The boat is delivered to the owning company, where there's only one purpose, being 100% the owner of the boat. What is then what we sell? We sell shares in the owning company. So somebody becomes a 16%, a 25, a 33, or 50% owner in that owning structure. So you get the title of the boat. You get the title of one specific boat. You can touch it, you can see it, and you have the legal documents of it. When you go to timesharing, and I'm not against timesharing, but there was a lot of negative fuss about it. That means in timesharing, you buy time. You share time, but you never become the owner. And when then the time-sharing company who owns the asset goes bankrupt, your time is gone. And that's something that cannot happen in our structure, because what we have on one side the owning structure, where the yacht is in there, and there are shareholders, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on how the shares are divided. And that owning company makes a management contract, a yacht and crew management contract with Seanet, who takes care of the yacht. And even when they would not be happy, when the collective of co-owners would not be happy with our service, they can disconnect the contract
and sell the yacht,
because that's simply based on a mutual agreement, or find another management company. So we try to protect asset ownership and management separately from each other.
I think with the communication that you've done and the videos we've done, that message has got across, because I remember the first few videos, I got some really cynical and unpleasant comments about people who felt it was a big scam. And then slowly people have listened to what you've said. They've understood how the structure works. And I haven't seen those comments for a long time now. I think people now understand that it's a smart business done properly.
I remember year one in Cannes, everybody who saw co-ownership said, oh, this is timesharing. Now I must say, I almost never get that question again. It's not a question because people in the meantime understand that how the system works. I think that our videos together helped a lot. There's a lot of information in there. Although there are long videos, it's my experience that a lot of people who are really keen to know and interest, they really look to the entire video. What helps a lot. So co-ownership has become, in the sharing market of today, a more popular model, a more known model.
Now, LAW, law. What happens if co-owners want to use the boat during the same week, month? How do they decide? Do they flip a coin?
No, absolutely not. So first of all, the co-owners, and that sounds maybe for the people out there very weird. For me, it was in the beginning weird. Co-owners don't know each other. Yeah, that's a very strange thing. I thought I bring together some fanatic yachting guys, and we do stuff together and become friends. It's absolutely not like that. We make one-on-one contracts with a co-owner, and when you do that, so everybody discusses his planning, his wishes with the yacht management company. It's still, due to the size, still the majority of those communications are done by myself, together with an operations team and a hospitality team. But how do we cope with the timing? We have defined contractually, because it was, I think, it's a legal background of the gentleman. Contractually, we defined the planning system, and the planning system is works with priorities. That means that when you, for example, when you have a 4 times 25% setup, and you have a pre-season in Europe, May, June, a main season in Europe, July, August, and you have a post-season, September, October, and a winter season, December to March, then each co-owner has a A, B, C, D priority, and each one has a priority in one of those seasons. So when I'm this year the first one to pick the weeks in the pre-season, my colleague is probably has one of the partners has the main season, the post-season, and every year it turns like a clock. And that schedule is signed in a contract. So I know already now, when I'm in 5 years, in which season I will be the number one. And when I'm not,
I see.
And when I'm not the number one, so the year after I become the number 4. And the number 4 means that in that season I have the last pick. The year after I have the third pick, the year after I have the second pick, and then again I have the first pick. And that's a system that is equal and fair for everybody. You have to keep in mind that we bring together people who are bosses in their business. Used to have the last word. When you do that, you need a very keen system that counts for everybody. Even when somebody has a 50% share, it makes no difference between a 1/6 share, because the rights linked to the shares are exactly the same, and the priorities are linked before and hooked up in a contract.
So going into the contract, they know that on the one hand, they won't always get the yacht when they want it, but on the other hand, the advantages in terms of the fraction of a cost to what full ownership is involved outweigh that small disadvantage.
It's simply one thing, because again, when you speak about ownership, I can talk hours about the advantages, but like everything in life, the coin has 2 sides. Each advantage comes with a disadvantage. When you really want to be completely free, sit in the evening with your wife on the sofa and say, we take tomorrow on a plane and we go to our yacht. In co-ownership, you cannot do that. So you're restricted. But when you want to do that on a 30-meter, then you have to put 10 million on the table. And when you want to run the yacht in 2 seasons, you have to put $1 million a year on the table. And then you have that luxury. And I'm absolutely not against it. I've been there in the past myself. But in co-ownership, you pay a quarter, a sixth of those amounts, and you share it with other ones. And in that sharing, you have equal rights. So it's not always your choice.
Now there's Terry Dyke is asking a question that we've kind of touched on, but we'll for the benefit of you, Terry, you've probably joined a little bit later. Do you have Explorer yachts in your fleet?
Not at the moment, but it's definitely in the planning. We already have on the drawing table, we have a fully worked out project where we spend already a 250K in pre-design then, and we even have all the arrangement with the shipyard. What will be, when we go forward, will be Cantiere della Mace. But it's not yet, we don't have yet enough people who are interested to really commit into that. So my principle is, once I have 50% commitment, financial commitment, I start a new project, and I'm counterpart to the other 50%, but I'm still missing that. So
Joe, we've also kind of answered this, but we'll go over it again. What's happening here? Joe says, how's competition between owners resolved? If I own more shares, do I get priority?
No. Look, when you are, for example, you would be a 50% owner. 50% ownerships can mean you have, or when it's a 4-share structure, you have 2 times 25%, or when it's a 6-share structure, you have 3 times 16%, and each 16% has equal rights as the other 16%. The only thing what it means, when you have a 50%, you would have 3 times the priority linked to your 1/6 share. That's the only thing. But for the rest, the treatment is exactly the same thing. And again, people are not talking with each other. It would really become a big mess.
Yeah.
People are talking to an objective third party that is seen as being the management company, and we talk one-on-one, and we organize the planning based on a contractual setup that is very detailed, discussed with everyone before they come on board.
Now, Penelope's got an interesting question. She says she's just received a fantastic tourist publication from Antigua and Barbuda, St. John's Harbour. It's a fabulous locale, rife for development. What about co-owning berths?
No. It's not my business. I must say that I've already been approached by co-owning, let me say, sport boats or co-owning villas or stuff like that. The business that I'm in is a very capital-intense business. Yeah. So when I look to the amount of money that I spend or that I pre-financed in the past 7 years, you don't speak about a few millions, you speak about tens of millions that I invested in. So my focus is on super yachts, and I want to remain, so I want to be very dedicated to my focus. From the moment that you go, what I now call the white rabbit, what passes by, I'm not that type of guy. I'm very focused and very dedicated on what I'm doing. Yeah. And for me, the focus is 30 to 60 meter super yachts. Yeah. And I want to remain in that field. That's my specialism. And I've also chose what a lot of people found a little bit strange. I chose to do it very dedicated with one primary brand, what is Benetti. Yeah. So all the boats are Benetti because I want to be a specialist and not a generalist. Yeah. I don't believe that you can be the knowledge and experience guy of all brands, of all shipyards. Yeah. That's not me. We focus on one brand, on one product, and we try to be the best in that one brand.
Now, Rudy is very kindly sent €10. Rudy, very kind, not necessary at all, but very kind of you. And he has the question, suppose that I'm a co-owner. Do I have a priority to buy out another owner's share of the same yacht?
Do I have a priority? I hope that I understand the question right. The only priority that every co-owner has from the moment, for example, Rudy, you, David, and me, we would be three owners in the boat. At the moment that one of the three of us is willing to sell, there's the first right of refusal. He has to address that and towards the two other ones. So first to Seanet as a management company, and I will address that then towards the co-owners. And then we have a 30 days right to say, okay, I'm the guy, I want to buy. And then when the two of us would be interested, very simple, the share that is for sale will be split towards the two of us. So also there is a fair deal. When none of us is interested, then that share goes simply to market, and Seanet will be the broker to sell that share. But there is not a favorite share, so that's not part of our structure. So I try to keep it as equal righted as possible.
I suppose there's always a negotiation and the commercial side as well. But for example, with this yacht that you said, half of it, or 3/6 of the shares is owned by one person. Yes. If he said to you, actually, I wish I owned the whole yacht, nothing's to stop him from making an offer to the other shareholders, is there? They can refuse.
No, they can always, but nobody can put the knife on the throat and now you have to sell. That's
nobody's obligated.
Nobody is obligated.
Many, thanks for your question, Benny, and thank you, Rudy. Many asked the question, what about if you want to change something on the boat? Is there a board meeting or something, or the owners never talk? So, let's say somebody says, you guys can't see this, but we've actually balanced the computer on a bar that's in the Sky Lounge. Let's say somebody said, I don't like that bar. I wish that we'd got a huge cinema screen there instead.
Yeah. First of all, the yachts that we have been involved, when I speak about 7 yachts, I speak about brand new or almost brand new yachts. So the majority was brand new builds, delivered. And then people buy into a yacht that they have been on board, that they see, and that they like. And I must say, discussions like that, when you step on board and you put millions on the table, you have done upfront. I give you an example. On this boat, there was a US buyer, and he had a very specific request how the master bathroom would be set up with the toilets and stuff like that. And then I saw, is it feasible from a technical point of view? And we changed it towards his request. I discussed it with the other co-owners, the majority co-owner, the 50%, and it was very quickly an agreement. So when it's technically feasible and it's not a crazy demand, we will do it. But I must say it mainly is something that during the use of the yacht, some demands come up and then we adapt to it. It's mainly in equipment, in audio, video and stuff like that, in toys that we do things, but it's very simple. When the majority is not willing to pay, then I leave the decision on the investment on the individual person. When he says, I want to have, for example, e-boards, so e-foils, not everybody, a lot of my co-owners are aged, and they are not particularly keen to get on an e-board. But we have some of them who are younger who want to have it. And then or we share the cost when there is more interest, or we do a specific investment, but then that investment is only used by the shareholder who had requested and paid for it. Up to now, I've never had a discussion about it.
When we were walking around the boats earlier this morning, and you said, there's a few little things that maybe we'll tweak later in the season. How will you go about that? Will you make a proposal to the other owners and say, look, this is what I suggest, this is what it will cost?
Well,
is there an agreement?
I will now go not on this boat. I will now go to, for example, the motor yacht Portofino, what is our Benetti Delfino that was launched in 21. So it was delivered in June 21. I sold that boat. I stepped in half a year for delivery because there was an owner that with Benetti upgraded to a bigger boat during the build. So I got the opportunity to buy the slot, and I could not change anything anymore. So I discussed before that people even entered what we would change. We would change teak in the bow section, shower. We would put other audio video. So I incorporated that in the contract so that there would not be any discussion afterwards. So they paid a certain price, and they knew exactly what they would get in the next year afterwards. Where I did some changes. The only thing what I ask from people, gives the time, because we use boats very intensively, and I have a little bit to schedule it over the European end of season and then the winter end of season to do then those upgrades.
Now, law, not surprisingly, has a legal question. Are the co-owners liable in any way if the boat is sued?
Are the co-owners liable in any way when the boat is sued? So we have an insurance policy. We have an insurance policy where, let me say, each co-owner is insured against, let me say, I don't know what the legal right word is, but stupidities or problems that was caused by the other ones.
Like
so
negligence.
Negligence, something what has been done by the other ones. So, but I'm simply thinking practical now at the moment. We have not had it yet, but for example, what could happen when somebody would do look, for authorities, I have to be very honest, for authorities, they see the boat as one asset. And there is an owning company, and that behind that owning company,
a limited company, I guess.
When behind that owning company there are 3 or there are 35 owners, for the authority is very simple. They will sue the owning company, and linked to that suit, they will block the boat. I've never had it. We have very keen rules, but it could happen. It could happen.
Well, the first time that I met you, and I was trying to wrap my head around how you'd made it work, one of the things that really impressed me was the screening process for new shareholders. You don't just accept anybody.
No. And you will be maybe surprised, and there's nothing to do that I want to be snobby or elite, but I've already rejected multiple people who wanted to buy a share. I think at least five deals that I simply said on the end, I don't have the right feeling, because the way that he wanted to use the boat and the mindset of people was not fitting what we were doing. So when you look to Seanet, when you look to our co-owner profile, it are all ultra high network individuals, 100 million plus, all of them. So people that have no issue to buy a yacht themselves, all family oriented. And the main purpose of buying the boat is to use it with their family in full discretion and privacy. So we don't attract typical, let me say, the party hoppers. I'm not against partying, but everybody knows when party is the main target, you get alcohol involved, you get very quickly drugs involved, you get very quickly prostitution, and that's stuff that is not matching with our DNA. And I do everything to keep it away. I must honestly tell you, I even have in the contracts a clause that I can buy back the share when we find things like that, that I have seen the right to buy the share back.
That's good.
Very simple. I don't want to, because one wrong person can mess up the entire setup, and I don't want to have that. Can I cover everything? No, definitely no, from a legal point of view.
But as far as you can.
As far as we can, we will do everything to cope with.
Great answer. Marcus Wunsch, who leaves a lot of comments, and actually from his comments on the YouTube channel knows a fair amount about the industry and is very much into it. Why only new built super yachts? There are quite a few attractive, depreciated used yachts out there. So the main draw is sharing operating costs, as the purchase price is less of a concern. So why only new yachts?
I have a very simple reason, and I can even explain it with some examples. So what I want to do, I want to reduce the risk of having technical problems on board of a boat. You would be surprised as an audience, for those who are experienced, they know and they will understand what I say, but you can ruin a boat technically in 2 to 3 years. Yeah. I've seen yachts used, heavily used, and not maintained after 2 3 years, and it will take you a lot of money and a lot of downtime to get them in line. When I engage myself as Seanet as a future owner, where the majority are not used to own a yacht, and I would confront them in year one with all kinds of costs, and cost is one thing, but downtime of the yacht, not being able to use, we would ruin our name. For me, it's mainly why we are stepping into new yachts, or let me say 1 year old yachts, very new, simply reduction of risk. I don't want to get people in a situation that they step on board of a boat in which that I cannot see everything. You can do the best survey, but you're also out of the business, the hidden problems you cannot see, but those hidden problems can take us out for a season, can take us out for weeks, can cost a tremendous amount of money. I don't want to have that. For me, the main reason is new boats, most or almost new boats, simply to reduce the technical defects and the risks.
Great. I'll just mention to you, because he's posted a couple of times, Rene Delapans appreciates your wristwatch. He said a couple of times what a great watch it is.
Sorry.
Are you somebody who has a watch collection, or?
Let me say I have multiple watches, not crazy amounts, but I like beautiful watches. That's something. It's something very personal.
I'm assuming that he's talking about your watch and not mine.
Okay.
Penelope says, is there consistency? Oh, this is a very good subject. Thanks for this, Penelope. Is there consistency in hiring a yacht crew, regulars on the beat, or one-off as per sailing? So the whole subject of crew with Seanet is fascinating to me.
Yeah, you have been multiple times on board.
Yes.
You enjoyed the service of our crew, and I'm very proud of it. I don't want to be an egocentric guy, but I must say from day one we started in the market with Croatian crew. And the reason that not that Croatian crew that I don't want to work with other crew, but it's simply I'm in love with Croatia and sailing in Croatia, and I'm in love with Croatian people. You have a great mentality. They are very great sailor people. And you have a great service attitude. A little bit stubborn. But stubborn, more linked to their proudness. They want to do things right, and they are not the type of people that when you discuss something that you will say immediately yes because you're the boss. But I like that. I like people who challenge me. So we started in Croatia, and I must say, due to the fact that we started in Croatia with yachts above 29 meters, we were as a company very exceptional. Croatia is in the summertime, very, very often visited by bigger yachts coming from France, from Spain, from everywhere. But there are not so many big yachts in Croatia. So we attracted top people out of the Croatian market. Due to the fact that we pay correctly, so that means I'm proud, also I'm coming from the industrial background, we never had paid in my entire life as an entrepreneur, I've never paid a salary 1 day too late. So I make a matter of honor of it. We pay correctly, on time, correctly, and the right amount. That's one thing. From day one, we started with full rotational crew. This is very exceptional on the 29 meter. Our first 3 boats were 29 meter, 95 foot. So that means on the 95 foot, we have 10 people, 2 teams of 5 who work in the 2 months on and 2 months off schedule. That's a second advantage. So paying on time, paying correctly, working in full rotation. And then another thing is that on our boats are very intensively used. I like to keep them in the top state of day one. So that means that needs money. The majority of crew is used to fight with owners to get the amount of money they need. So with us, it's not that we're spending money, what is not worth it, but we spend a lot of money on boats to keep them up. So those factors have built up a reputation. And I must say at this moment, 99% of our crew is Croatian. And we are very known in Croatia. And I must say, when we have a next opportunity of a vessel, even in those difficult times, we still have plenty of candidates who want to join us, and very experienced candidates who have been in the industry for 5 or 10 years, have done the chartering, have done the work for money, and want now to have a little bit more quality of life. They want to remain in the industry, but work less. And full rotation, you can work less.
And we had a conversation earlier about the fact that, and for the sake of viewers, it's interesting that if a yacht has 6 owners, there's the potential for 6 owners' possessions to be left on board.
Yes.
maybe their clothes, personal items, works of art. So every time one owner leaves, the next one comes on, the crew then have to remove the old owner's possessions, put in the new owner's possessions, and it's a lot of work. So that rotation is really important for them to be able to keep fresh and keep enthusiastic.
Yeah. But also a thing what when you see in the beginning, and I had a lot of discussions about that also from a sales perspective. So our yachts from day one, we had 2 days between each owner.
Yeah.
When you nowadays look to a lot of yachts, they have only 1 day and the next charter is coming up.
Yeah.
I had 2 days. A lot of people said, Matty, we want to use those days. I said, no. We need 2 days to do a proper job. Yeah. But those 2 days is for provisioning, is for cleaning, is for maintenance, but there's also a little bit to give the crew the chance to simply deconnect, be without guests on board.
Yeah.
What I learned in the past years, due to intensity of use, those 2 days became 3 days. Yeah. So we enlarged it. So we have now 3 days, and there's also, and the crew welfare is also part of it. We want to give people the time to simply focus themselves again, to deconnect and charge themselves again for the next owner who comes on board. Yeah, it's a very important topic.
Yeah, so they can give it their best to the next owner.
And that helps also by working only 2 months. Yeah, because then you come on board with a smile, and then it's 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 0, and you go back home to your family. And that's a very nice way. And we retain a lot of people in that way.
Yeah. And if you know that you've got that, let's say 8-week, 2-month period, even if things start to get hard, you think, well, you know what, I've got another 3 weeks to go. I'll keep going. I'll push through, and I'll get it done. Fast Eddie 333 has a question. How many days or months do you lose to maintenance schedule?
Yeah, we have at this moment, so I have a note, I have a paper here, because some of the data I don't know 100% out of my head. But total year can be very correctly in our 16 and 33% scheme, because that's the most popular one. And it's never that we have 1/6 owners. We have a 33% and 4 times 1/6. That are the combination we do. We have 174 days that the yacht is off. So that means 47% of the year the yacht is off, and that off time is for maintenance, but also for transporting. We transport boats by DYT. So float on, float off to the Caribbeans and back. So the transportation time, so the 21 days is included in it. So 2 times 21 days, and the rest is maintenance. So to be clear, 174 days off and 192 days on. So that means 53% of the year the boat is in owner's mode. Yeah.
Which is a lot more than most yachts.
I think it's triple. So I made a calculation for myself. When you would say I do 4 weeks owner's use and a 6-week charter, you have a 10 weeks use in a year, you come on 20%. We are on 53%.
Yeah.
So we almost triple the use of the boat. But you would be surprised when people would have the chance to see our boats. You would not believe the boats look like brand new. Yeah. You can much better use the boats intensively based on a good maintenance and a good crew than simply using your 10 weeks and then have not the right maintenance done. Yeah. There's a big difference.
And apart from maintenance, as you said, there's transport as well, because it's, what is it, about
21 days. 21 days. 21 days. Men mainly always sail from Genoa to, let me say, Le Marin, Martinique, or from Genoa to Port Everglades, or from Mallorca. Yeah, it depends a little bit from it. This DYT has different routes that they have. Yeah. And then on the end of the season, the winter, we do the same back.
Now, more questions coming in. Pierre Frank, in case of degradations made by one co-owner, how are the costs shared? Other owners can say they're not responsible and may not pay for it. No. Do you work with an inventory? Oh, that's a good question. Do you have an inventory check prior to each use?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. Everybody knows how the car rental functions. You go to an airport, you pick up a car that you have rented, and then they have the famous document that you walk around the car, you say, there's a scratch, this is broken, and you sign for it. On the end of your trip, you come back and they do the same check. And all the cost or the defects that you have caused are linked to you as a person. We have exactly the same thing. Right. So we do a walk around. The captain does that with the owner that comes on board. So when, for example, I would have been on board and I spilled wine on the carpet, there's a chance that in the 3 days between 2 owners, the crew has not had the chance to change the entire carpet. So then this will be mentioned on the list, but the cost will be taken care of by me. It will be addressed to me as a person, right. And that counts for everything. When you have a defect on the toilet, whatever, all the things that are related on damage caused by a human. When it's technical defect, disconnected from a person who has caused it, then it goes in the syndicate total. Yeah.
What about dogs? Do you let people bring their dogs on board?
Although I'm a dog lover, I have at home 2 dogs. I have 2 Jack Russells, very active animals. I've never taken them on board. Let me say that the problem is I'm not against dogs, but dogs. The environment, yacht is not an environment for a dog. That's my personal view. It becomes very complex for the crew. You have to go to the toilet, stuff like that. But the main reason is that there are a lot of people who are simply allergic to dog hair. Yeah, so we don't allow animals on board. Yeah? And I had a lot of questions, and I've seen a lot of the owners' dogs because I visit them at home. Very social, very nice dogs, but we cannot start with it. So the dog is not the right fit on a boat.
No, I agree with you.
But that's my personal thing.
And they can do a lot of damage as well with all the best.
I think when somebody really loves his dog and he wants to take it with him, I think there is only one solution: to have your own boat. Then you can do it, but sharing it with other partners becomes a very delicate topic.
I had just on a different topic. I had a client who loved his dog so much that he sent his private jet to bring the dog over to be on.
No, I fully supported it. Again, I'm a bit, but then that's very difficult when you do it with multiple people.
Yeah,
and I have to respect everybody. I cannot give people special priorities above other ones.
Now, more questions. Murad Al-Harbi. Do I have to hire a third-party auditor to make sure my crew are maintaining their tasks properly?
I've never had that question, so it's good. So I like to learn every time. So no, this is our job. It's our job to do. We have an hospitality manager and operations manager who frequently do audits on board of boats. We also have our own training academy internally, so we train our people ourselves. I'm very proud that already more than 10% of the staff that we have. Yeah, we have 70 people operationally. 10% of them already people who started as a stewardess and become a chief steward. Who started as a first officer, became a captain. As an engineer, became a chief engineer. So I promote very much that people grow in their functions within the company simply to retain their knowledge. I believe that the longer people stay in a company, the more that you're loyalized, the better that you understand. So we have our standards. When there are remarks on the standards, I must say the first to address is that the owner talks with us, and when then there is a need, and there's also contractually built in the contract, when the need for a third party auditor to do that, I have nothing against it. We get on a frequent basis, for example, for the insurance company, we get auditors.
It could be an interesting job, like a secret shopper.
Yeah, something like that.
For Superyachts.
Could be. We have nothing to hide. I'm very open and transparent and stuff like that.
Very good question, because I'd never thought about that.
No, me neither.
So thanks for that, Murad. Tyler, what percentage of overall holding cost could be typically expected to see by co-owning this way? So how much are they reducing the running costs of the yacht for each shareholder?
Again, when you speak, very simple. When I speak about a 30-meter yacht, and when I speak about a yacht, and there's a little bit a different way of approach. I hate it when I'm confronted with buying something and I think this is the price, and on the end I've bought it, and then you have to pay this, you have to pay that, it is on top. I hate that. So I'm not going to do that with new buyers who step on board. So that means when we speak about the price, our price is always all in. So when I speak about the 30-meter Benetti, let me see, it's not built anymore at the moment, but the Delfino, a lot of people know the Delfino. We speak about the boat that is including everything, including the VAT. Our boats are privately registered and VAT is paid, fully paid. Let us say plus minus a 10 million number. It can be 9.5, but I rounded up to 10 million. When you then take a 25%, you save 7.5 million. When I speak about a boat of that size in co-ownership in 2 seasons for 25%, we have at this moment 3 boats, of which 2 is double season. You speak of a budget between 1.1 to 1.2 million a year. So for 2 seasons. So you pay 1/4 of that 1.2 million. So that's the way. That are the costs that you can expect. So the bigger the boat becomes, then the cost increases.
If it's 4 shareholders, then it's 25%.
It's 25. It's 1/4 of 1.2 million, what is 300,000 euros.
But most of them have 6 divided into 6.
No. I think that's a misunderstanding. When we speak, we have a scheme of 33% and 16.66 is very often a combination that we find. We mainly start with trying to get 3 times 33% sold.
Right.
Yeah. Not everybody wants to have 33%. So we sell a first share. Yeah. Maybe a second share, and then the last 33% is split it in two.
Okay.
You get 33, and 2 times 1/6. What we also have that we only find one shareholder of 33, and then we have 4 shareholders of 1/6. Up to now, really 6 shareholders of 1/6. We have not had yet.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Again, really good question. Ruben V, or Ruben 5 perhaps, just says loves the Seanet approach. Less worries, more enjoying.
That's the target. That's the aim.
Kaboom asks, what happens if a crew member misbehaves and you want to fire him or her, but you're in the middle of the ocean? What do you do then?
No, it's very similar. There's nautical laws. You always have to take a crew member to the next harbor, and you have to organize his transportation, stuff like that. I will not hide. We work with humans. I'm coming out of the industry, out of oil and gas. I had 1,000 people on my payroll in my industrial company that I sold. Yeah. So for me, I know that people, when you have people, you can have a problem. Yeah. We try to solve it behind the screen. So I think that 99% of the cases that we had, that the owners a few days later said, I've not seen that guy or that lady anymore. What happened? So I think it's our role to do it in a discreet way, and to change it. And that's the advantage we have in all the contracts of that rotational crew. We have one clause in it: when you are part of our scheme, you're part of the rotational crew. When there is an emergency, and it can only be not only be by misbehavior, but somebody has a wife that falls ill or gets in a hospital that have to move urgently out, that the counterpart in the second team has to fly in. That's an obligation. We don't need to use it very often, but we had already a few times that we had to call in colleagues to come in. We have now a pool of people. I even had, that's maybe interesting to say, there was a Belgian owner who had a politician on board, a very VIP person, minister in Belgium on board. And the evening before, the chef became very ill. He could not function anymore, the existing chef.
Oh, wow.
So, and then I have to try, and I simply went, I couldn't find another solution than going to the restaurant that I'm visiting very often, a star restaurant, and I simply asked the chef, please, who was a friend of mine, can I have your sous chef for a weekend?
Really?
And we organized. And the morning was on the plane, and the minister was on board, and he had lunch with a new chef. So also stuff like that we are doing. So,
you know, when I've seen or heard of examples of extreme misbehavior from crew, it's usually stress related.
Yes.
They go stir crazy.
They go nuts by working too long.
That's right. Or you've seen a gradual progression, often with alcoholism, where they're just drinking more and more. So I think usually you get early warning signs. And in your case, 2 months on, 2 months off, it's unlikely that somebody's going to get themselves in that sort of state.
Yeah, but for the audience, to be very clear, we try to be perfect, but like we work with humans. So humans are not perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. So also we have from time to time some issues. But fortunately, up to now, 99.9% of the case we solve behind the screens. And I think that is the value of what we are doing. We're not simply bringing a purchase and running cost model that optimizes your money. We take the burden away. That should be our role. Owners should not be aware that something is happening.
No.
All of a sudden, there's somebody new. We will inform them, but they don't have to be part of the solution.
No, and also the drama. They don't have to be disturbed by the drama. We're getting lots of questions here, so we'll move on quickly. Antbear13 says, I like dogs, but I have an allergy. So a yacht I was involved with would have to be no pets. Oh, Patrick Abbas, who's a great guy who watches the channel and has a very interesting life and experience. He says, following up on the previous question, can those costs, in case of the carpet example, be offset with an insurance? If yes, do you provide this, or is this an individual choice?
Let me say, like the carpet, maybe you can do it. I'm not an insurance specialist. I've never focused on that. Those costs will be taken care of by the owner who has caused the problem. But for example, the boat on itself is fully insured. So that means when we damage something on the boat, or on each yacht, we have a large chase boat. We have a lot of axopars. For the ones who know that boat, Axopar 37s, the same as on this boat. And I must say, there everything is covered by insurance. Even when you have an engine damage or whatever damage is covered. But I must say, those minor things, and luckily they are really minor. We didn't have a lot, are not covered by insurance. They are paid simply by the owners themselves.
One of the good things of having ultra high net worth owners is that, for example, if repair to a carpet, cleaning a carpet, even replacing it, it's not a big deal, is it?
No, but nobody. I must say that people. It is mainly that the owners step themselves to a captain and say, "Look, I've had this and that. My grandchild damaged this or that, and it's taken care of without any hassle. Any hassle."
Which again comes partly through to the screening experience of having decent, good people who are part of the team. Xavier Leonard says he's speechless, so that's nice, hopefully for all good reasons.
I hope it.
Dare says a big hello from Mothership Mr. Z crew.
Oh, okay.
Listening in.
Okay, yes.
Penelope says vegetarians, vegans and carnivores on board. How would the chef and stews handle fridge space, barbecues and other cuisine stuff, and secure appliances that are sacred special use for kosher or halal?
Yeah, we have had once one Jewish customer where we have had to separate everything. So we separated food between the crew space and the crew mess fridging and then the kitchen itself. It is a very complex thing. I must honestly admit it has taken us a lot of time to get acquainted with the habits, because and you have to respect it. It's feasible, but it's very complex. I have to be very clear on that. But we have done it. But I must say that demands from the crew a high discipline. When you're not used to it, you need a very specific control system to check it again and again, because our normal habit is not fitting with that model. But it's feasible. It's feasible. Up to now, we had one owner like that. That's also the one owner that stepped out. One of the two owners that stepped out.
Thanks, Penelope. Great question. Pierre Frank, if the yacht's located in Ibiza and I want to have it in Cyprus, who has to cover the fuel and crew cost for the delivery trip?
Okay. Also a question that I get very often. What we do is people who step into co-ownership are mainly people who want to, in a fully organized way, travel the world. I always say to people, when you only want to have your yacht on the Côte d'Azur and the Balearics, and that's your main topic, we are not the right company. Because all our owners that step on board, they want to explore the entire world. So that means how we are doing this, I propose, because it's mainly done by myself, I propose every year the shuttle. I give them 1 or 2 opportunities, depending on which season we're sailing. For example, this year, in Nice and sailed then to Genoa. So that was the pre-season. So when you then want to do the main season, and you don't want to lose 2 weeks in transferring the yacht to another side of Europe in the Met, then you need to choose a sailing region what is not too far away, because we only have 4 to 5 days between it. So what we we chose for the Balearics. We bought the yacht on the Balearics between Ibiza and Palma. Yeah, and the yachts are now at this moment sailing in that region. Yeah, 2 of our yachts are sailing there. And then the post-season, we bring the yachts to Olbia. Again, 4 or 5 days. Transfer the yacht to Olbia. So we try always to connect the seasons in a way that is feasible. When one owner says, and now I want to be in Greece and the big islands, and the other one said, I want to be on the Balearics, that's simply technically not feasible. But it's also not feasible when you would be the owner of the yacht.
Well, that's very
you can do it, but it would cost you a lot of money in fuel, in engine hours, in generator and system hours, but also time. You would lose a lot of time to do those transfers. So it's very important that we have every year a different region that we visit. And we make sure that in the whole of the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years that we have seen the entire Met. And then we go again in the circle.
It's like you said earlier, if somebody wants to get up in the morning and fly down to their yachts, this is not the solution for them. In the same way, if somebody just on a whim wants to take the yacht from Ibiza to Cyprus, this is not the solution for them.
One thing maybe that I have to mention, so we mainly try to give them 2 proposals, and then it's very simple majority voting. When 50% plus is in favor of a certain region, that's the region that we are going to sail. I have to make sure as the yacht manager that it's not every year the same region, so that there is a variety. From the moment that it would be like that, I have the veto voice to make sure that the minority shareholder is not confronted with every year again in the same region.
Right, there's loads of questions coming in, and we've almost done a full hour, so I'll just pick out a couple of them. Marcus asks, what about co-owning support yachts? That way the yacht owners could book their slot to use the co-owned support vessel for their helicopters and so on. Do you have much inquiries about people who would like to have a support vessel?
No, not yet. But what I want to say to the gentleman who is asking the question, we started with our first 3 yachts were 29-meter Benetti Delfino yachts. So 95 foot for the American audience that's maybe listening. Yeah. Then we moved up to 35-meter or 116 foot. We have 2 35-meter. Now we have done this 40-meter, and I'm in the preparation of a new build of a 53-meter. What we see is that the demand in size is growing. We already have demands for 60 and for 70-meter. So we will end up, I'm pretty sure that future-wise, when you have a few 60 or 70-meter yachts, that I could imagine that there would be maybe a demand for a supply boat or a shadow boat. But then you have to be aware when you would join that or share that boat with 2-3 yachts, that those 2-3 yachts would always be linked to each other. You have to sail. You don't have to sail together, but you have to sail in the same region. Otherwise, you can in the same area. Otherwise, you cannot make use of the supply. Now, we are going in that direction, but we are not yet there. There's still a way to go.
In fact, I'll just end by saying that there's a lot of comments about helicopters on yachts and submarines on yachts, and sort of discussing the merits of that. But I agree with you. I think the way that Seanet's going and growing, it looks probable in your future, doesn't it? There's going to be a yacht with a helicopter and a support vessel and
but simply for the audience, I'm building now a 53-meter. We are in the engineering phase. And I'm used to be involved in the technicalities of yachts. I was let me say, surprised that even on a 53-meter, when you want to get everything on board that you are then imagined to have on board, that you are again short of space. And so when you want to remain under that 499 bar, so the 500 GT, then you're confronted with space. So when you want to have all those nice toys, then you have to go to unlimited levels. You have to go to 600, 700, 800 gross tonnage. You need really a big vessel to do that. I would be in favor, but I don't know if we have today already the buyers for that.
Just a couple of concluding comments. Penelope, who's such a faithful viewer and has contributed a lot to this live stream, she says, what a fabulous background for the interview. So I'll just quickly let Penelope see a little bit. We're in the Sky Lounge.
We're on Sardegna. It's Sardegna on
Sardegna, and
beautiful
really
environment.
Yeah, and you'll have to see the full walkthrough video that I did this morning with Matty to see that. But Relax Farms says this was a great live. I'd love to be able to ask questions about private yacht ownership versus charter. Can you sort this? Much love. So let's do this. Tomorrow we're doing an interview.
And we address those points.
And let's,
all the questions that we have now missed that we cannot answer, let them address in our interview. And I invite every one of you. We will have a stand like every year on the Cannes Boat Show next to Benetti as being our partner. We would like to invite you over there. And let's have a chat face to face. I would love it.
Yeah, and also I know that your team are very responsive. If people send emails and they want
no problem at all. info@seanet.eu.
Excellent. Thanks, Matty.
Okay,
thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you all for the questions and the interest and your time.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.